Hey everyone, this week on the Players Experience podcast, we chat with MLS alumni Dwayne De Rosario. D-Ro goes over what it was like to go through soccer, get into the MLS, what his pro career was like, including competing in 4 MLS Cup championships and scoring 2 golden goals in the process, what it was also like to leave a 2-time repeat MLS Cup champion with Houston and come back up to Canada to play with the FC and also to captain the FC as well. We talk about all that, including his book and so much more. Before we bring Dwayne onto the show, we just want to give a shout out to our production team, Jay Solti Photography and Vicmar Productions, for their work that they do with each and every episode each week. Shout out to our marketing team, 19 Marketing, for the merch and productions that they do with all of our merch for the show. And also, guys, if you want to get some discounts on Hush Blankets, Jaywalk, or the Great North Apparel, use the Players Experience discount code to get some discounts on checkouts. And lastly, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the show now through YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts so that you don't miss a beat on any great and exciting content each and every week as we chat with pro athletes, sport reporters, and individuals in sport about their careers, experiences, and work. Let's bring Dwayne De Rosario on to the show and talk about his soccer career. All right, Dwayne De Rosario, how are you today, sir?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm great. Thank you so much for taking time to be on the show. How have things been throughout COVID and the pandemic for you?
Like everybody else, there's been its positive and not so positive moments, but I was trying to keep it hopeful, trying to keep it positive, and just trying to keep my mind focused. Obviously, through this time, I've been able to manifest some my creative side, and at the same time, keep my kids busy and keeping them active. Most importantly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've tuned into some of your Instagram lives when you've done like the chill reggae music nights and some workouts, and they've been great, man. It's been awesome to see. So
I'm glad you enjoy it.
So I like to start off every conversation I have with a segment called Rapid Fire. So I'm going to ask you 4 quick questions and just spit out the first thing that comes to mind. So what is your favorite time of day?
Favorite time of day would be 4 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock.
All right. So about now. Cool. Strangest thing in your fridge right now?
Strangest thing. I don't know. What's the strangest thing in my fridge?
Okay, we can skip past that.
I cleaned out my fridge the other day. That's why. I mean, it's COVID, so I just keep trying to find new projects.
Cool. What's the TV show?
Pepper sauce.
What's that?
Pepper sauce.
Pepper sauce. Okay.
It's not strange to me, but
hey, it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
What is a TV show that you're currently watching right now?
Oh man, I don't watch TV shows.
Fair enough. You're busy on the field. I get it. And what would be another sport you would want to compete in?
Basketball.
Basketball? Okay, cool. Right to it. I like it. So where and when did the passion start for you for soccer and wanting to be a pro athlete in soccer?
Started probably. Well, I've always been involved in soccer, but I think when I decided to take the game to the next level, it was probably around 15, 16.
Okay, cool.
Now I decided, yeah.
Now, you started your career with the San Jose Earthquakes in 2001 when Frank Yella picked you up as one of his acquisitions. What was the feeling around like being able to start your MLS career with San Jose?
Well, that wasn't my career. That was my first MLS team, because before that I played in Germany, played for Toronto Lynx, played for the Richmond Kickers. So I had a pro career before that. But obviously having the opportunity to, well, there's a story behind that because I was with DC and Frank Yao was the assistant coach at DC, and Thomas Rognan, who obviously does reporting for quite a few games. He wanted to take me, and Frank got the heads up that he was going to be the head coach for San Jose Earthquakes, and asked me, if I would come with him to San Jose. Obviously, playing with the national team with Frank, knowing his roots, for me, I think that made more sense, and I'm glad I made that decision because it worked out pretty good. Um, so it was good to play for a fellow Canadian. It was good to win a cup with a fellow Canadian as the coach, and we just created a good bond, a good understanding, and a good player coach friendship.
That's incredible. And yeah, that bond between player and coach is so important in the sport and even in the game today. And it's truly makes for what could be a great chemistry on the field and what represents on there too.
Yeah, and especially at that time, there wasn't a lot of Canadian presence. So having Frank Yap as a Canadian coach, yeah, I think he's the first Canadian to ever coach an MLS team. But we don't even see that today, much less. So to have him coaching the team, that Canadian presence was we were very proud. There wasn't a whole lot of Canadians in the league. Jeff Andre would just retire from MLS. Jason Bent was playing, and I don't even think Pat Onstad was in the league at that time. So we were waving the flag, and he was my coach. So it was extremely, even more so, amazing to have a fellow Canadian.
Talking about that chemistry, in your first season with the Earthquakes, you scored the golden goal, if you will, to help win an MLS Cup and was also named MLS Cup MVP. What was the determination behind making a name for yourself so early and working on that chemistry to have that result?
It just worked out that way. We didn't plan it. I didn't plan it. Obviously, Frank was in a tough position. Here was me, a hungry Canadian kid, ready to take MLS by storm. You had young Landon Donovan, who was a prodigy for US at the time, trying to make a name for himself and prove everyone that he was what the hype made him out to be. And then you had a veteran like Ronald Cerritos there. You had Brian Ching there as well, another U.S. national team player. So he had to juggle all these players, and he did a great job because he was his communication was very open door policy with all of us, and he just kept telling me that, listen, just be patient, and when you get your chance, just keep doing your thing, and that's what I was doing, and I was making his job actually a lot more difficult. But for him to have that trust in me to put me on in the final, obviously that trust I had to earn from throughout the season. But in a game like that, for him to trust to put me on was just showed again our relationship, and not only that, him believing in me and me also taking responsibility and ownership for how I conducted myself as a pro, and how I wanted to be represented as a player, as a Canadian, and in this league.
That's incredible. Well, kudos to you, because doing all that is definitely hard work and determination for sure. And after your first MLS Cup, you ended up going on to win a second, third, and a fourth MLS Cup as well. Out of those 4 Cup appearances, which experience do you think you had the most fun at, or was the most challenging with the most benefit to it?
Well, actually, technically it's 5 because I won one in MLS with TFC as well. That was fun because I wasn't a player, so I wasn't really tired. So I got to enjoy that a little bit more than when I was was playing. But it's really hard to say which one I enjoyed more because I enjoyed every MLS Cup. I mean, championship. It's everyone is special. There's no way I can sit down and say one was more special than the other, even though I scored 2 MLS golden goals for 2 of those. But even the ones that that I still contribute in, doesn't mean that those ones are more special than the other. They're just winning a cup, winning the ultimate prize is all your hard work, all your sacrifices, all the commitments, all the things that you go through in a season to to accomplish that feat. Now I will say 2003 was special because personally I was going through a lot that year. I fractured my fifth metatarsal with the Canadian national with the men's team, and during our preseason in San Jose, we were getting ready for a friendly against the U.S. I think. So I fractured my fifth metatarsal in practice 2 days before that game, and then of course that was my breakout year for 2003. And then I end up returning, and my first game back, I end up uh, having a knee injury where I tore my LCL and meniscus. So that put me out. That was supposed to be I was supposed to be out for the year, but I got to work. Went to the islands, got some treatment, did some therapy training. I was able to return in August, where my third game back was able to accomplish my first hat trick, and then that same year, we beat Chicago in the final. I started the first leg in LA, and then pulled my hamstring, and I missed the second leg in LA, where everyone knows that amazing. For me, I think it was the biggest comeback. Definitely that I've been a part of, but I think it could be up there not only in MLS but sports history. Everyone knows about that game against LA and San Jose, and watching that and being injured, not knowing if I would be able to participate in the finals, and then of course doing what I can to be ready for the finals and coming and contributing to Landon's goal, and winning. That was just all that, encompass all that. That was extremely a special one.
Now, I don't know how I could forget about your championship with Toronto FC, because being a local kid from Scarborough, like, you playing for the TFC is also a huge accomplishment too. You get to have all your friends and family there. You joined with the TFC in 2009, and after joining the team in 2010, you were named captain. What was it like for you to play local, be that hometown hero in Toronto, and then be the leader of the team?
Well, it was tough at first because I was leaving a back-to-back championship team in Houston. Obviously, it was a team from San Jose that relocated to Houston. So I had, I was very comfortable. I knew what was being asked of me. I knew the players. I knew the environment. They're building the team around me. So, but seeing 2007, the first season, it was special. It was special knowing that TFC was a part of MLS, and it was special that the world got to see Toronto in a different light, because when you go around the world and you hear Toronto, you don't think of soccer. But I grew up in the inner city communities here all over Ontario. I knew how much soccer means to so many communities, and how passionate the soccer community is here in Toronto. Not only passionate but knowledgeable, and I think we saw that at BMO, that inaugural kickoff for the first game of 2007 season. So seeing that, it definitely sat with me, and it was like, man, I had a call with Dominic, who was the coach at Houston at the time, and I said, listen, I really want to go back home and be a part of that, because 2007, when we went back to back, my aunt passed away, and that was very difficult. So I just felt like so much of my career was always spent outside of Canada. Like I haven't lived in Canada since I don't think that time was since maybe 97. So 2009 was my first time coming back and actually living in Canada since I left. So, it was nice to it was nice to play in front of your community. It was nice to play in front of the family, but I didn't come here to do that. I came here to win. I came here to take Toronto to that next level. And I want to think in a lot of respects, I was able to achieve that, winning their first trophy in the Nutrilite Cup. back to back. And obviously, we didn't make the playoffs, but I was, doing what I could on the field to try to make that happen. But anytime you play for your city, it's definitely very rewarding, and it was a great feeling.
That's incredible. Now, being a local kid, we had a fan question coming in from Scarborough. Where's the best place to get a Jamaican beef patty?
Man, I want to say Allen's patties is the best ones. Allen's patties is the best place. Now, wherever sells Allen's patties is pretty much the best spot. Now, I know there's some new places that came up, trying to be very creative and making patty sandwiches and all that stuff. I've yet to try it yet, but Jamaican food in general, it'll be a tough one. Island Spice is good. They're always consistent, and Markham and McCowan and Pitfield. Giddis is good. Giddis, right? Giddis and Eglinton, Ellesmere and Kennedy. Scarborough. So many places like that come to mind where you could get good Jamaican food. But I can tell you where you get good Guyanese food. You could get that at Wendy's. You could get that at Seatown. You could get that at where we go was the next one, Sapphire. A lot of good Guyanese places. And then you want a roti, you could go to Mona's. You can go to Roti Hut. You go Jupiter's.
There you go. Guys, you heard it first. Go to all these places. Tell them D-Real sent you.
Exactly. Yeah, for real. Tell them I sent you. You won't go wrong at any of those places. I guarantee you that.
That's great. Now, we just have a couple questions left for you. Talking about the expansion of soccer and soccer leagues, recently there was an announcement about a Euro Super League. What are your thoughts around the Super League, and how do you think it'll impact the game, as we've seen some teams back out, some teams for it? What are your thoughts around it?
Well, it's not happening, so that's but I'm happy about that. I think I'm definitely not for it. I think there's just too much history. There's too much, to take away the top teams, quote unquote top teams of all the leagues in Europe. You can imagine how much of a blow that would be to the leagues. I'm just grateful that the fans stepped up and made their voice heard and made the clubs think otherwise. This game is never, soccer is really a grassroots game. Soccer's for all classes, and what makes it unique for the top teams in, say, England to play in there, or the top teams in La Liga or Serie A or Bundesliga or League 1, is that those lower teams, those underdog teams, get an opportunity to play against those top teams, and they could beat them on any given day. You take away that whole environment, you not only disrupt the leagues, but you also disrupt soccer globally and internationally, and then it just becomes a cash grab, and it just becomes a game. I never knew it like that. And for the next generation, I think it's not a good representation of this sport and the history and the legacy of this sport.
No words have ever been spoken truer, because it's definitely a good thing it's not happening. And like you said, shout out to the fans for stepping up and voicing their opinion, because you're right. It's the teams have such a rich history that you don't want to ruin that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my last question,
and the leagues as well.
And the leagues, yeah. Now, my last question for you is: everyone gets kind of words of wisdom or advice throughout their career. What would your words of advice be in a segment or a segment rather? I like to close every show off with words of wisdom to the next kind of soccer generation, the next young athlete that wants to get into soccer and make a name for themselves and get started.
Yeah, I'd say just keep. I know it's kind of sound cliche, but you truly reap what you sow. So in saying that, continuously stay motivated. go after your dream, continuously put in the work, and it's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be easy, and try to take the challenges that life give you, and they come in so many different ways and so many different forms. But just take all those challenges that life give you, turn them around into positives, and translate that when you're working towards your dreams and your goals, and let that be your fuel, let that be your fire, and let that be your motivation to continuously work hard and to go after your dream. And that's what I did, and that's what I tried to capture in my book, my life, and give the reader a clear idea of kind of what I went through, and hopefully kids reading that book, and not even kids, just anyone reading that book could get motivated, could be inspired, and be like, wow, he overcame adversity to get to where he is. There's no reason why I can't. So that would be
Those are some great words of wisdom. And D-Ro, real quick, do you want to talk to us about your book and what it's about and how that kind of transformed?
Yeah, I was, it's been about, 2016, was 21, that's what, 5 years of work, back and forth. I was able to collab with someone who I respect in their respective field, Brendan Dunlap, as a sports broadcaster. It was an amazing kind of mutual connection. We were able to come together at a right time where he was looking for something new and exciting in his life. I didn't know how to capture my story. I started to write it, believe it or not, and I just couldn't find the right words. I couldn't find the time to sit down and write my whole book. So we came together at the right time, and he said, okay, he took on the challenge and was willing to document my story. So and we would meet from 5 years and continuously have meetings and go over back and forth, proofread, how does this sound, tweak things. And it's really a story, it's a story about my life and my journey, and all these, as I mentioned, obstacles and hurdles that I went through as an inner city kid. A lot of people, again, that live outside of Toronto, even that live in Toronto, don't know that there's some tough environments out here. There's some real challenging environments, underserved communities that need attention, that are lacking resources. And I grew up in those communities, and I was able to make myself something in a time, in a hockey country, in a time where soccer had no professional or no clear pathways. And I still, made it out. Not only myself, but quite a few other players that made it out in that generation. And I just felt it was important to tell our story, to speak our truth.
No, well, hey, kudos to you. Brendan Dunlap's a friend of the show, and I'm really excited to get my hands on a copy and read about your journey through life and everything around it. So yeah, everyone go out, get D-Ro's new book. What's the book called again, D-Ro?
It's called D-Ro My Life.
There you go. Nice, easy, right to the point. Thank you so much, D-Ro. I really appreciate your time. And hopefully we get some viewers in to read your book, and anyone that does, please let us know what you think. And again, D-Ro, thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for taking the time, and all the best to you, and take care of yourself.
Yes, you as well. Take care.
All right, peace.